Hello, one and all. This is Chris here. I want to take some time at the top of the episode real quick to say thank you to our Patreon folks. They are Jeremy, Hovo, H-O-V-O, Laszlo, Randy G, Thomas, Colby, Yam, Randy, Miles, Drowrin, and Taylor. Thank you guys for your continued support. We are greatly humbled by it. And from all of you that I've met in person, y'all really fucking cool. Just going to throw that out there. I guess I shouldn't say in person. We've talked to on the interwebs is a good way to put it better. But you're really cool. So, yeah. So I got that. I hope you guys enjoy this interview with the boys from PtbP People. It was a lot of fun, and I hope that I don't come off as too much of a fanboy. I think I failed in that aspect, but hopefully it's an enjoyable interview with them, and you learn more about them, and you should really check out their show, because they're rad as hell. So, that's all I got. Next week's episode is going to be character creation / starting a little scenario called From the Dust. So get ready to meet some new agents and see what kind of fucked up shit they're going to dive into. Bye. Welcome back, everybody. I am honored today to have probably the best Delta Green podcast out there, I would say. They're definitely the gentleman who got me into Delta Green, and that's why this is kind of a weird moment to be talking with them and trying not to fanboy out too much. But I have the boys from Pretending to Be People here, if you guys want to say hello.
Hello. Yeah,
what up?
We're here.
You're here, and I thank you for sitting down to talk with me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We tried to stand at the beginning of the interview, and Chris was like, "Can you guys please?"
Yeah,
I need to sit down.
It's a lot of navels. I just saw a lot of belly buttons, and it made me uncomfortable. I wasn't ready for it.
We're crop top boys.
Gaze, baby, gaze.
Joe doesn't have
nipples.
He's like Kyle XY. No belly button.
Smooth. Like a dolphin.
Hey, it works. So, yeah, I remember finding you guys pretty early on in your guys' when you guys were releasing. I think I found you guys through like Glass Cannon, the subreddit or something like that, when you guys were still kind of in your infancy. And it's been awesome.
Was huge for us.
Yeah, it was.
It's been awesome to watch you guys grow and see all the success you guys have been having. And I mean, I'm a mod on your guys' Discord, which is weird.
And an excellent mod.
We love you for it.
Thank you.
But I don't. Yeah. So I just want to say congratulations. I'm very stoked to see you guys succeeding, and it's awesome that you guys are still super down to earth and not douche nozzles or anything yet that I've seen.
Well, just
thanks, dude. And well, speaking of that, like, we don't like to consider ourselves the best Delta Green podcast. We think that's the Delta Green podcast that Jesus probably has up in heaven.
True.
That's true.
I didn't think about
We're number 2.
We are a Christian role-playing podcast.
It's more fucked up than anything we could come up with.
Oh God, I can't even imagine. So like in my day job, I work alongside the U.S. government, and so having got more into Delta Green, it's really kind of like I'm talking with people at my job about this game, and they're like, this shit could probably be real. I'm like, don't say that. I don't want to have those thoughts. Like that's too much right now, guys. So.
Yeah. Are you friendly yet?
Do you not believe?
No. I might be.
Everything that happens on our podcast is real. That's stuff that happened to us.
He's just retelling.
You're just watching it, writing it down. Oh, that's good shit. Well, let's for those who haven't listened to you, tell us a little bit about yourselves. How did you guys kind of come to be a podcast? All that kind of backstory, secret origin stuff that you're willing to share.
We thought we would be almost as funny as Jesus, so we went.
That's lofty goals. That's very lofty goals.
We could be number 2. We saw a big opportunity there.
Yeah, I got into role-playing because Justin, who is our omniscient radio DJ at the top of every episode, Wolf the Dog, and also does our original soundtrack on the show, invited me over to his buddy Sam's house for a night of role playing, and I'd never done that before. But Justin and I had just gotten out of being in a band together, actually. Fledgling probably there at the end, but still a band maybe. and he had me over, and we played through Last Things Last, which is the scenario that is now in the Delta Green like Agent's Handbook, maybe in the back of it. It's one of the
need to know. Yeah,
need to know. Thank you. And I fucking had an absolute blast. So I started running that week. I started writing my own scenario, and then I ran it like a month later for 3 different groups and started 3 different weekly campaigns that then, as they do, most fizzle out. So 2 of them fizzled out, and
we were the one that was left. Yeah.
There you go.
We clung.
Were you guys apprehensive about getting into role playing at all once you first heard about it? Like,
well, how did it even start? Because I asked Thomas.
Well, yeah. So Joe and I had been doing some D&D stuff and liking the role playing part, not necessarily having a lot of fun with the system. And then you invited me over to Sam's one night to join you guys for a Delta Green scenario, and I was like, "This is all I ever want to play."
Oh shit! We played Burner, which is by Ross Payton from our PPR. It was a shotgun scenario.
It was really
didn't
fun.
Win for some reason one year.
Yeah. Zach was running around like handing notes to the DM and shit. His character just ran off and did his own thing, and I was like, "Oh, role playing's really cool."
We had like 8 players that night. It was absolute madhouse.
Wow,
it was nuts.
I've only ever done that once in my life. I used to run D&D 4th edition encounters at a local comic shop. And I had 2 groups of 4 people show up, and I had to like run between both tables to run the same fight, and it was the most exhausting thing I've ever had to do in my life.
God! And running 4E, which is like the crunchy video game-ish one,
yeah,
right?
Like each combat's 2 hours minimum. It's like this sucks the butts. Yeah. So, but
Luke had already played.
I had
joined.
played D&D one singular time, and I had a great group except the DM, who was a great DM, but he wanted it to be very serious, and we didn't want that. And so we played one time, and he never asked us to come over and play D&D again.
Okay.
And then, like, probably 7 or 8 years later, I was hanging out with a mutual friend, and he's like, You want to go role play at Zach's house? And I was like, I guess. And then
Oh, you mean that super serious game? I don't know.
and then we played Delta Green.
Yeah.
And that I fucking loved it. And that's the rest
wild.
is history.
Yeah, Luke joined up, and then we brought in Joe when that mutual friend Alex left town. We brought in Joe. Thomas was like, I have a friend who might be perfect for this. And when Joe sat down, he immediately got into character and started talking to Taylor, my wife, who is also a player in the game, like in character. And it was the most serious, like realistic role playing I think that we had ever done automatically. And we were all like, oh, Joe is taking us to the next level.
Yeah, I got into it by watching Twitch streams. Critical Role, of course, was one of the big ones at the time, and those guys are real good at what they do. So I tried to emulate some of what they were doing.
I think you're succeeding. So
thanks.
Well, and then how we played quite a bit before we ever decided to record any of it.
A long time.
2 weeks.
We did 2 10-month-long Delta Green campaigns,
Nice.
one of which was homebrew with some random Delta Green stuff thrown in, and then the next one I based a lot off of the Stygian Fox published book.
Is that like some
The
furry
Things
stuff?
We Leave Behind.
sounds like a furry thing.
And I took out all the cool sex stuff, and
that's all we did for 10 months.
and that's what we played.
And
that
then
was
we're like,
that was the horror of the campaign. Like, there's all these hot animals, but you don't get to fuck them.
I think about halfway through that when we realized people need to hear this.
People need to be exposed to our art.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah,
So that one starts with it's just for posterity. That one starts with "Forget Me Not." These are all Call of Cthulhu scenarios. It starts with "Forget Me Not," where like there's amnesia and like they don't know who they are at the beginning of the game, which was
not
a
the way I
wild
remember
thing to play. And then homebrew stuff, and then in the middle we played Scott Dorward's scenario "Hell in Texas." Which then I posted on the Call of Cthulhu subreddit, and Scott from How We Roll podcast fucking responded, and now he's like played with us a couple
He's
times.
our
It's just been-
pod
he's
grandpa.
He's our pod paw.
pod paw.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he started pod pawing for a lot of podcasts.
He
It
did.
he's like a little grandpa
He's
slut.
a sleuty.
That's good though. It should be a community. It shouldn't be people like fighting over shit. It should be
No,
everybody in
he
there
should
together.
just
He
be our
should just be
grandpa.
ours. No, it's awesome to hear him on like How We Roll, which was one of the podcasts that got me into playing role-playing games, and especially Forget Me Not. They ran that one, and I got into that. And then we finished that campaign with Ladybug Fly Away Home.
Nice.
Which is also a wild fucking scenario that's
Yeah.
the Call of Cthulhu, but can easily be ported into Delta Green. I'll stop talking about that. Like,
Stories and Lies, another Delta Green podcast that launched same time we did. Their first
Oh,
story
nice.
is Ladybug. So
oh,
Yeah.
it's
Nice.
so sick.
yeah, it's
I love a kid.
it's a wild trip.
I think one thing I liked about it too, playing with these guys, was that the rules were there, but not extremely hardly enforced.
Yeah, consistent for everyone but Thomas is what I always say.
Yeah, I think the beauty of Delta Green is that it's such a simple system that I love that it's built in there. Like, yeah, if they have a high enough score, just give them the information. Like, why do we need the roll? Just get on with the story, give them what they need to know, and move forward. Like, I love
that is
aspect of it.
that is built in, and yet it's never the way Zach's played, which
I
is a
actually-
little disappointing.
I was reading the through the transcript today to prep for our session tonight, and shout out to Cinder Crow on our Discord for those transcripts.
Oh, absolutely,
Incredible.
that amazing.
Like nonstop, so wild. I was control Fing my way through there, and I saw a moment where I did do that with a Colt, and I was really proud of myself. So I'll start doing that more. It's a cool mechanic.
You
Yeah,
should make us roll for anything.
I just like it's always been those things. Like, I'm always fearful of giving a player a roll that they could fail. It's like, well, fuck, how do I yes and this, or how do I fail forward on this? It's like, no, like they're just, you can roll, and if you get a crit, I'll give you more information, but I'll still give you a base level information, and we'll go from there. So that's
Do
why
you want to be our DM?
Sure, if you want.
Okay, sorry, Zach.
It's all right. I understand.
I'll be more than happy to run you guys through a game.
I'm tired.
I just got This Ship is a Tomb, which is a mothership scenario that's basically, it's a spaceship crawl, but based off Event Horizon.
Nice.
Oh,
And so, like,
nice.
it constantly shifts as you go through it, like, so you can't go back to other rooms, so you just have to go forward. It sounds wild as
Sounds
shit.
cool.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I know you guys have talked about playing Mothership. I don't know if
We
you
have,
have.
we
by
have,
now, but
and
it
have
looks,
not.
I have not. No.
it looks
But
so
I literally
fun.
just started watching The Expanse last night.
There you go.
I'm very excited.
I've listened to
about
the 3 books. I think I've done the first 3 books in audiobook form.
Nice.
So
They're
'cause
books.
I don't have to.
That's
Yes.
how I responded to Thomas earlier when he was like, "Oh yeah, the books."
Yeah. Have you seen Event Horizon, Zach?
With Jurassic Park Man. Mm-hmm. No, I
Yes.
have not.
It's a good one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
real good.
Well, I remember it being fantastic when I was young. I'm assuming it still
I
holds up.
rewatched it within
but,
the last couple years, and I felt like it held up.
I
The
rewatched it.
Velociraptor
Okay,
has
awesome.
range.
Fun fact about that movie I haven't seen: the guy who plays Jurassic Park Man was in
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill is from a country.
Wow.
New
That is
Zealand?
the one, and in
New
the
Zealand.
movie, he wore a flag on his
Yeah.
spacesuit for one of the Aboriginal tribes of New Zealand.
Oh, nice.
As an honor.
Cool.
You should watch that
That
movie.
guy's been a
though.
lot
It's
of
pretty
Eldritch horror adjacent stuff like that, and then The Mouth of Madness, which is another fantastic.
We love mouse.
like probably the best modern day, like I think it's the best Eldritch horror modern day that they've done. So,
good. What is it called?
in The Mouth of Madness,
Adding it to the list.
Cool.
It's terrified me as a kid. Like I remember, I think it came out when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 5th. Let's in that range. But I remember dragging my dad to see it with me, and the indie was so terrifying to me. I'm like, I want to go home. He's like, nope. You made me come sit through this. You can watch to the very end. It's just like,
And much like Bruce Wayne, you didn't leave the theater, so your dad didn't get shot. So good on you.
that's true.
You saved your dad's life.
you know?
Saved
I
your
never thought about
dad's
that
life,
way.
dude.
Yeah. The area we do live, Fenway is a pretty rough area, so. So what do you guys prefer as, like, do you prefer being a GM or do you prefer being a player when it comes to games? Like, what is your preference when it's all said and done?
I'm a player. I'm the only one of the guys who hasn't run anything yet, and I still have on the back burner that I might someday, but I love playing. I love making a character, and I love figuring out a mystery. I don't know if I'm the best at making them, so we'll wait and see if I end up running one or not.
It's fun to make up all the shit, but it's so much more fun to just sit here and like lob bullshit at Zach.
Yeah. So you're the cat, not the wrangler. So.
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed running some games, but I think infrequently is how I like to DM.
And I would say the exact inverse. So we're all sitting at the right spot on the table. I definitely prefer to be in control.
Every time you get to play, you're like a dog who's been let off his leash.
Yeah.
Like, you just run off into like you fetting your ass over the hills. You're just gone.
It's all that pent up, just like he's taking it out on you guys. He has to deal it back to you for everything you've done to him.
I do enjoy it.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, playing's super fun. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that all the time? Like, it's fucking rad.
Well, you hate playing, so you just stick with.
So it is. You're just saying it's your need for control. It's your
yeah.
Control one thing you can in your life. There you go. That's what it's.
Boom.
So if you're the weird paranoid one in your friend group, be the DM.
I was going to ask if you guys prefer crunchy or narrative, but it seems like you're all pretty much on the narrative.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever. Oh no, I was gonna say I've never played a crunchy game, but I did play 2 sessions of Pathfinder, maybe 3 with Luke as another player, and I bailed, and you were still playing. I bailed before the one shot was over.
I finished the whatever with them.
It was a scenario. It was like 6 sessions, maybe.
I definitely preferred Delta Green to Pathfinder. Just anything with like fighting as you shoot a gun is easier than spells.
There was just such a wild amount of things I was supposed to read and know in order to do combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run 2 Pathfinder 2nd Edition games, and it's like mind-boggling the little nuances I have to remember. It's like, oh, this ability can do this. Oh, this. Like, I'm still learning new stuff. I'm like, oh, shit, I could have been doing this the entire time. Like, fuck. All right, well, now I know for later. And then I'm going to promptly forget it because it'll never come up again. But, yeah. I think narrative, the more I've played, the more I'm definitely becoming a more narrative gamer. I think it's easier. It gets people, it gets quicker into the game. I think it gets people more comfortable. That's what I've experienced.
I think it also depends a lot on the group. I think that there's certain groups that would flock to the narrative, and I think there's certain groups that would be afraid of doing the narrative stuff and would be comfortable shrouding themselves in the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's true too. I like to
Cowards.
I like really crunchy shit when I'm at home alone. Like if I can smoke a bowl and play a really crunchy like strategy game on my computer or something, I dig that. But I don't know. It flows so much better to have a more narrative, less country gameplay. I think I've heard a number of Delta Green D&D podcasts where the first 4 episodes are like one combat, and it's just it's interminable.
Incorrigible.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, and Pathfinder 2E is a lot like 4th edition in the sense that combats are taking 3 hours to get through just a base combat, not even like a boss combat. It's just you versus 2 or 3 other enemies, and there's just so much stuff going on. It's like, all right, yeah, like I skip half the fights, and like I'm running AP, and I skip half the fights because I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. Like we need to get the story going. Like we spent 2 full sessions in fights. I've hit my limit. We're
Yeah.
good. Like we're gonna skip over the next couple. We don't need to have these fights.
Yeah, and I think for us, since we are recording it as a podcast, it's what's more fun to listen to, an hour of like us doing stuff or an hour of us fighting one guy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes
I think it depends on the group.
It's
Yeah.
fun to throw in a fight. Like an hour of combat can be really enjoyable. As a player, this last Patreon session that we did was a really fucking fun combat that we ran.
But it also came at the very end in a very
Exactly.
appropriate
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot more creativity,
Right.
I think, in Delta Green fights because you're kind of stretching the limited things on the page into what you can do, and it's a more satisfying. It leads to more appropriate role playing conclusions a lot of the times. And just more exciting, like, conclusions where you've all come up with something, like, truly together instead of just following kind of your spells, which can, make cool puzzle pieces all together. Do people understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't like the games you guys play.
No, I think Delta Green combat it's terrifying. Like you get into it, it's like at any moment you're dead. Like one good shot's going to put you down, and I think that is so like riveting as a GM, where I'm like, I'm nervous to roll for shit. I'm like, oh fuck, like here we go. Like the ending of I ran Extremophilia for a group, and the ending of that, I'm like, yeah. Just have a backup character in mind when we go through this, because it's gonna get really ugly once shit hits the fan. Like it's done.
Yeah,
for
sure.
We're not.
Sounds extreme.
I love Delta Green
Versus-
like one shots too, where you like
You're
gonna die.
You can plan to die. Yeah,
Yeah.
You can live
Yeah,
pretty wildly.
a character meant for death
Yeah.
is what you're creating. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like I've really rarely played. I got to play Delta Green once so far. And same thing. I was like, just do whatever you want with my character. Like, if it fits the story, if he dies, he dies. I don't give a shit. Let's just tell a fun, compelling story. Like, I don't have an attachment to this made-up thing. Like, I have a hard time with that, where one of my players, she's really attached to her goblin in Pathfinder 2E. I'm like, sorry, but if he dies, he dies. Like, I'm not going to feel bad for killing him.
Oh,
But
you should feel a
like,
little
I
bad.
need you to be ready for this.
Just a little bit. You should also feel pure joy at the same time.
you could do what we did and
No,
just
yeah,
kill the
good.
character and then rewind time.
Whoa. Spoilers.
Get all timey-wimey.
So, are you guys playing any other games at the moment? Like, do you guys have a home game that you're playing or anything like that? Or is everything you guys do just recorded for the podcast? I don't know how busy social lives y'all
It's
have.
all the podcast
so.
now, and we're extremely popular. So there's no time.
Not the podcast, just socially.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see it.
My dance card is full of studs.
Yeah, I mean, we just
Gonna
do.
dance with me.
Hot men.
We do record. Sometimes once a week, and then on top of that, do Patreon stuff too. So it's definitely we stay busy doing it.
The Patreon games are also a
bet.
good chance for us to try out new stuff sometimes. So we've got on the back burner a few different systems that we want to try sometime, and I think those are going to end up being Patreon games.
Yep.
I think it's the best thing you guys do for the Patreon is doing that. Like, it's cool seeing Thomas do the Pettymore arc and everything, but I really love the fact it's like, we're just like, I got to learn about lasers and feelings through you guys,
Right,
and roll for
yeah.
shoes and all these,
Oh
like,
my God,
these
lasers
smaller
and
systems where it's like, this is
lasers.
really
Those
cool.
micro
Like,
systems we do, a lot
Those
of them
are
have
super
been like
fun.
Grant Howitt type stuff.
Yeah.
Those are always so fun. That they're designed
Yeah.
to be a good fuck around night, and we
Yeah.
have a good fuck around time with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always would put more like, man, I get so much more like thick enjoyment out of like Thomas running a game in the world that we all built together, and like that was
Thick
such a
enjoyment.
I said what I said. But being able to just, like Joe said, like let loose and just dick around for in a one shot is so much fun. Roll for shoes is one that I really remember being so stupid and fun.
One of my all-time favorites
Yeah,
that
or-
we've done is Everyone is John or Everybody's John.
Oh God, yeah. The basketball scene was I was in tears while listening to that. It was so fucking good. Like, just I love the aspect that everybody has. Yeah, I really want to run that for a group one day, but
That was
I'll
when
get
we
there.
would play at parties as kind of just we have downtime.
Oh, awesome.
Let's
Yeah.
pull out a bowl of papers and
That's
write
how it
down our
all
goals.
started. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
we played. Because I even remember it was your birthday one year. We all sat
Yeah.
around. We played like 3 different games.
we didn't even need character sheets. Us in the bowl of papers. Hi, Zach's wife,
I've only ever
Taylor.
done that.
Hi Taylor, how's it going?
That's a fun apron.
That is a fun apron.
Can I tell you guys really quick?
Did you get that on Instagram? Sorry.
Is it funny?
No.
What did I say? Was it funny? I am listening to episode 107 right now, and you just started singing Shaka Tika, da da da, Omasio, Shaka Tika.
Felicia?
And
Felicia.
that's pretty cool. That's what I'm doing right now.
Sick.
That was a good
Sweet.
part.
Bye.
Not only is she Zach's wife, she's now a fan.
There you go.
After we're
What else could you
almost
want?
at 5 years of releasing, almost 6 years of recording this podcast.
Oh,
This
wow.
thing that just was
Yeah,
happening
we-
in her house.
She's like, I might need to check this
I
out.
mean, I don't think my wife has ever listened to a podcast, so yeah.
Taylor actually
Like she knows, like
got me into podcasts. And
Oh, nice.
that is probably the reason we ended up here, because I very quickly went from NPR to
Adventure
role
Zone?
playing. Adventure Zone, Glass Cannon, Harmontown's dumb fucking
Yep.
into show shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
what was the Earwolf one with Brian Posehn?
Oh,
Nerd
Nerd
Poker?
Poker.
Nerd
That
Poker is
first
the first
season.
one I
Yeah.
got into.
Thomas and I used to
Okay.
nerd out about Nerd Poker all the time. That DM was so good. That first season is
Oh, he was
so
amazing.
sick.
Yeah.
Sark. Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Yeah, I think I got my wife to listen to the It's Always Sunny podcast. I think that's the most podcast she's listened to.
hell yeah.
So
That's a good one.
It's a fun one.
it is. It's a very good one. But yeah, I think
Oh,
going
cut
back
that,
to what you
cut
guys talk about, just like can't give them plugs. Fuck them.
You got your wife
But,
to listen
yeah,
to
I
Pretending
think-
to Be People.
Wow. The
I'm
only
trying.
one that she likes? Incredible.
Oh, I love it. So I guess like how when you guys are, I guess this is mainly going to probably be towards Zach, but I don't know if you guys
I'm gonna go pee
run
real
home
quick.
games or whatnot. So go for it. How do you approach GMing like a podcast versus a home game? If you've done them, like is there a certain aspect where you feel like you have to be on for a podcast, or do you just approach it the same way?
I 1,000,000% approach it differently than I approach a home game. So, like, yeah, what you hear on the show is a very different experience from what I would run normally, and then on top of that, it's edited right in order to like keep the pace up, keep the tension right, and so, I mean, it's like the weight that I don't have on my shoulders when I run a home game, dude. So light, so lovely. I've run a couple of Delta Green one shots for some friends over the past couple months that I'm like play testing, because we do a at different Patreon tiers. You can join me for a one shot with other patrons, or you can join us all together as a player for a one shot, or even run a game for all four of us. And so when I'm preparing those one shots, I've like play tested them with friends, and it's so much fun because you're just like absolutely loose. It's
You're not trying to fit into a time constraint and hit a beat and
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. It's a performance, honestly, which is odd, but I feel like it's become how we play now. And so I've actually noticed as I was running those home games, I was like, wow, I'm like bringing in a lot of the stuff that I normally do in the podcast just in order to, do what I said earlier, which is like keep the momentum, keep the pacing, like, all that stuff. So I think it's just over time I've gotten better. I mean, back in the day, we used to role play for 4 hours, 5 hours typically, and that consisted
Damn.
of 2.5 hours of playing the game.
right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
That
like
makes
we
sense.
were
Yeah.
like going off on tangents, we were taking breaks, we were eating, we were hanging out, we were catching up, like all of that stuff was happening at the same time.
It's a good. That ratio probably holds true to the podcast as well.
Yeah, so I take back everything I said. It's the exact same.
Like 30 minutes of each episode is just the sounds of us eating.
Yeah. Gotta cut those out. Well, let's keep them in. That might be Patreon.
I was going to say that's the top tier of Patreon is it's hours and hours of us eating.
Just ASMR.
All right, yeah.
Was that Vor? I don't remember. There's so many weird things.
Our
there.
mukbang videos do a lot better than the actual podcast itself.
It's where the real money is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it weird to play and not record into a microphone?
It was.
Do you find yourself leaning forward?
Yeah, I was checking levels multiple times throughout the game.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I try to keep it as like laid back as I can. Like I will definitely think of points where I'm like, okay, like the session's going to come to an end. What's going to be a good stopping point for this? But I don't think I really go, even with the show, I don't really super go into it like, okay, like I need to hit this. This needs to end with this kind of moment. It's mainly just like, yeah, I think that's a good place to stop.
In
We'll
Delta
just cut it
Green,
there, and
it's
then we'll
so
go with the
hard
next
to
one.
know
So-
what the end of the episode is going to look like.
Yeah,
'cause
it
as soon
is.
as you dive in, or the session, like as soon
on
as
it.
you dive, then like it's absolutely like they're going to do whatever they're going to do. And because it's Delta Green, that isn't always follow the AP. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, it's
Nope.
wild.
Yeah. That's why I love it. Like I think that's my favorite thing of being the DM is reacting to what's thrown at you. And you know, like I've tried to approach it more like you've talked about with like the first season where you had just kind of like a I would say a show Bible in a sense where you had all of these motivations tied to organizations and like their different moves they would take. And so I've tried to approach that, which is, you know, hearing you say that, it's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense than just kind of like, what the fuck's going to happen there? I don't know, like ninjas show up or they're going to fight the town guard or some shit. I
Hey,
don't know.
but bringing in ninjas
So having
at any
that is
time
really
is
helpful.
Ninjas is
always-
tight.
That's a
Always
good
good
idea.
faction.
Yeah.
You should
Good
always have a
move.
ninja.
But like for me, it's been a lot really helpful with me progressing as a DM, where it's like, okay, cool, I've got these three things. They're trying to get to this. At this point in the story, if they haven't found these clues, X and Y is going to happen, and then they have to react to that. And so it's been really helpful for me, reducing the amount of like stress and then notes I've had to like
Dude.
be ready
Yeah.
for. That's what
Have
I'm
you
loving,
also
so.
just like, did you start GMing with like shitloads of notes in front of you and then slowly
Oh, yeah.
just like
Yeah.
less and or fewer and fewer?
Yep.
Ooh, grammar.
My first ever game I ran, as D&D 4th edition, I had your classic everybody meets in a tavern, and then like this guy comes running into the tavern all bloody, and he's like, oh, someone attacked the town. I need you guys to help. And everyone's like, why the fuck would we help you? I'm like, ah, shit. They're right. I didn't think about that. I thought they'd be heroes. I'm like, I'll give you gold and a free place to stay. They're like, all right, cool. We'll go on your adventure. Like nothing I had planned went right. And I was just like, okay. Like, yeah, I was so pissed.
I'm going to blame that on your
like,
players.
looking back
How
now,
about
but no, it was on me. But I need to. I've since then got away from running. I'm trying to get rid of all fantasy games. Like I'm just over the genre. I want to try like sci-fi and fantasy or sci-fi horror. Like modern stuff is more compelling to me right now. But yeah, just I think back on those days, and like I think Dungeon World was the first game that I read where I was like, oh shit, like this is how I should DM. This is how things should be set up and how we should play. So. But I have a problem with buying systems and reading them and then never playing them.
What is
that
Dungeon
is-
World?
So Dungeon World is powered by the apocalypse, which I don't know if you know what that means. I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't. So. Okay.
No, oh,
I don't.
man.
We've done a couple of those.
No, we have never even
so
tried
it's-
a Powered by the Apocalypse game, I don't think.
It's like a really simple system where you have stats and you roll 2d6 and you add a stat to it, and then depending on what you roll, an outcome happens. So if it's like 1 to 3, something bad happens. Like 5 to 6, a good thing happens. 7 to 10, you succeed, kind of
If you
thing.
roll a 4,
and
the
then you
game's
just play
over.
off of that. Really? It's true. That's where they catch you. But the game is much more like narrative. It's all just about like you see this thing in front of you. What do you do? There's no initiative order. There's no nothing. It's just like you come into this crypt and there's a skeleton starting to rise up from the ground. What do you do? And so they narrate. I'm going to run up and hit him with my hammer. It's like, okay, cool. Give me that attack roll to hit. And if he misses, you're like, oh, yeah, you missed. He stabs you with his rusty spear. At the same time, you see there's two more come barreling down the hallway. What do you two characters do? And you just kind of have this narrative combat like talk. And they roll. Everything's based off of actions you have. So you could there's like a search roll that you do, and you can uncover information and stuff like that. And it's really, I don't know, it flows pretty well for a game, which is kind of like the Powered by the Apocalypse system is based off of that. Just 2d6 plus some sort of modifier, and then depending on what range you get, the outcome, you play off of that and just kind of continue the story based off that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's like a nice middle ground between like narrative and crunch. It's much more narrative sided.
I was going to say I've always heard
really...
of Dungeon World being mentioned as a good introductory game for new players to the genre of role playing. Yeah,
like the Druid class is just straight up you roll to turn into a whatever animal you want to change into. You just roll
list?
if you succeed. No list. No, you just
incredible.
That's dope.
Depending on how you roll is how many actions you get to take as that animal. So I would, when I played one, I would like fly up as a bird and then shapeshift into a bear and elbow drop people.
Incredible.
Fuck yeah.
But
is Powered by the Apocalypse
stuff like that.
Also what power does Blades in the Dark and like Savage Worlds? Are those?
No. Blades in the Dark is I guess it's a continuation of Powered by the Apocalypse. It's kind of a evolution in a sense.
That's what
but Savage Worlds is its own whole system.
Gotcha.
It's basically
I know nothing about
Savage Worlds is Savage Worlds is one of those games that I love, but I can't find a group to play it because the idea of not having health is a foreign concept to players. Where it's like, I don't have hit points. How do I take damage and kind of stuff like that.
We also don't understand.
Yeah, it's tough. I get it. What are wounds? Why do I have wounds now? What happens? But yeah, like I said, I buy a lot of RPG systems in hopes of running them, and I never do. So I just read a lot of books. So it's good and bad.
I think that's what keeps the hobby afloat.
Yes,
yeah,
100%.
probably.
Not people like me who can't or don't read.
Can't.
I said don't.
But sometimes if you find a system you like, stick with it. Have fun. Like the whole thing is to have fun and play with your friends.
Aww.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky enough to have a group who's down to try a lot of systems, and so that makes me happy because I'm just like, hey, if I'm running the game, here's a PDF. Let's see how it works and if it's a fun game or not. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys do that too with the smaller systems.
Yeah.
But
It's
back to the Powered by Apocalypse. There's one I think you guys would like. It's called Spirit of 77, and it's like this whole based off of like shitty action movies. So like every archetype, I was going to run it for my Dieselverse game.
Oh, hell
because every
yeah.
archetype is based off of like a Vin Diesel character. Like every one of them is there. There's like the muscle head, like the tough guy, the biker. It's ridiculous, like just exploitation style.
I'm
like
a hard
campiness.
lurker in my the pretending to be people Discord. I'm not sure if these guys are aware of.
You're allowed to be on there.
The Dieselverse. Can you give them a rundown of that game that I remember reading about and being like, just so warm and bubbly about? That's so fucking funny.
So back when one of my birthdays, some friends and I, when we used to work out together, we created the Dieselverse, which was basically connecting all of the Vin Diesels together, like all of his movies together in one central idea. And so originally I was going to run this system in Savage Worlds, but I needed to find a system that stoners could play, and Savage Worlds is a lot more complicated. So I was like, Dungeon World, perfect. You just roll 2 dice. You got like 4 numbers max to add. We're golden. And it worked well. So we went out to this cabin in the woods, and the whole premise was, and I didn't take this from Rick and Morty. I know it's a Rick and Morty aspect, but every Vin Diesel like universe has a VIN number. And
That's great.
and so there's a council of Vins, which I took from the Fantastic Four council of like Richards. Reed Richards had a council.
Which you
and
both
so I was
stole
based
from
off
Rick
of
and
that.
Morty.
Well, I stole it from. It was Jonathan Hickman came up with it first. If we're going to get super nerdy, and so I'm going to. But anyways, it was a Rick and Morty ripoff too.
No, I know.
Yeah, But so the whole idea was that when Paul Walker died, he sent like a
Rip.
catalyst through the Dieselverse, and the
Catalytic
last
converter.
Mona silence for Paul.
the last Witchfinder Vin Diesel, like Paul Walker died in his world, and so when his Paul Walker equivalent, and so when the Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, if they one of them ever died, that universe would cease to exist because their brotherhood held the world together. And so he was so angry, he tried to track down and kill all the other Paul Walkers out of like his anger. And so like the opening montage was him going through and like killing all of the Paul Walkers. And then he realized he had to get and kill, or he's trying to kill Vin. Yeah, it's them. So he decided he had to come back and kill Vin Prime, which is the real Vin Diesel. So he came to our world, and the Vin Diesel had to protect him. And then they had to go into the Fast and Furious 2 Paulverse and rescue the Paul Walker from there and bring him back into the main timeline to rebirth him, because that's the movie that didn't have Vin Diesel in it. And it ended
Incredible.
It ended with them in a mech suit of Fast and Furious cars fighting a corrupted Iron Giant.
That sounds
finale,
amazing.
I love it
That's
so much.
great.
Why wasn't that the podcast?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Because
I mean ours. I was looking at Zach. I'm sorry. I was like, Zach, why didn't you ever think of that?
I mean, he came up with it, so like, why wasn't it his podcast? You know what I mean?
I thought about it, but I don't know the legality of. I don't know how much of a dick Vin Diesel is, and
like,
I don't. So,
I think at least medium to high.
yeah, so I don't know. But I started working on a Dieselverse 2, where The Rock was starting to take over the Dieselverse and morph all of the Vin Diesels into like variations of him. But we didn't get a chance to play that because of COVID. So
That's a great premise.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I love it.
But yeah, we would spend, that was our entire workout. Where she
So-
was just like figuring out how to connect Dieselverse.
That's awesome.
You played this with people, the first one. What kind of
Yes,
characters
yeah.
were they playing?
So we had Dominic Toretto.
Nice.
We had Riddick.
Sure.
And then we were supposed to have the breakdancing Vin Diesel, but that didn't work out because the guy canceled on us. And then we had Street Shark Vin Diesel, which was Dorsal Vin.
Yeah. That's great.
Because there's an old commercial of Vin Diesel playing with Street
He's
Shark.
like a
toys.
demo guy. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. yeah.
Incredible.
Also, okay, so what I'm taking from this is that there's a Vin Diesel movie called The Last Witchfinder.
Wait,
Yeah.
With Last Witch Hunter, I think is
Hunter?
what it
Okay.
is.
and it's based
Yeah,
on
yeah, last
his
one-
D&D, his longtime
It's
D&D
his-
character.
his
Really?
character,
I didn't
yeah.
know there. I'd heard about
I-
his character. I didn't know there was a
I
movie.
think he has a tattoo.
I think
of the
Elijah
same
Wood's in it?
character.
I don't watch any of these. I don't watch Vin Diesel movies that aren't Fast and Furious based, so I don't know a lot of his other films.
The babysitter. What was that one called?
You're thinking of the Tooth Fairy.
Pacifier?
Pacifier. Fucking good Vin Diesel shit right there.
I had to do a lot of research into Vin Diesel movies in case, because I obviously I had to have like ancillary characters. So like, you know, there's the guy from Saving Private Ryan. He was a big part. He was like the council, like scribe and cartographer. Like he kept all the notes from the Vin Diesel world. And I was like, I had all the shit planned out for no reason.
So good.
That's really funny.
So, I guess I would ask you guys, what advice do you have for people who are starting to run Delta Green or Call of Cthulhu, as they're trying to like get into the system? Would you have any advice or anything that you could pass along to them?
Don't.
Easy enough.
Gatekeep.
Yeah.
Mine's going to sound like a joke, but it's not. Only use the rules you want to use. I think that's helped us all get into the game, and you can kind of add in more as you go along, and you feel more comfortable with it. But I think that's always been a key to our success, is that
We've never used bonds, I don't think.
We did in our home brew, in our like at home campaigns. We haven't ever used it on the show, really.
They're tough. It's really tough to like work them in
Season
there.
3, Thomas is going to be Pierce Brosnan. Joe's going to be Roger Moore, and Luke is going to be
The guy from Jurassic Park.
Luke is going to be Austin Powers.
There you go.
I think, to go with yours of like use the rules that are fun to you that you want to is just don't take it too seriously.
For sure.
I think that, yeah.
Depending on the group, because Delta Green is by nature a fairly serious game. I think you got to make sure that everybody knows you want to play your style.
Definitely be on the same page
Yeah.
about
Right.
tone. That's
Yes.
huge.
That is pretty huge.
Yeah. I think this is definitely the first game I've ever had to run a session 0 where I'm like, so what don't you guys like? Like, I need to pick a scenario, and I need to know what you're comfortable and aren't comfortable
sure.
with. Like this, yeah. I've never had to do that with a Pathfinder game. It's usually just like, I don't allow this race and this race. Like, I don't like Minotaurs in games, so we're not going to have Minotaurs kind of thing. So.
Because everybody wants to fuck
Or
with
heritages now, I think is what they're called. Or ancestries, whatever the new term for Pathfinder is.
Are there any other systems that have like a semen monster?
I'm sure there is. I wouldn't put it past
Monster
another
Hearts?
system. There are
I
Monster Heart, maybe.
I homebrew one of those. each night.
For any system you want.
There is.
baby.
There's a game called like Cortex Blue, and it's like a sex-based RPG game. So I'm sure there's something in there. Like,
Can we do that one next?
I guarantee there's something in there.
Yeah.
Found the game I'm gonna run.
I think I have a PDF. I can send it to you.
Welcome to the Cortex. What's your fuck style?
Also, as I was
No,
like
it's-
originally homebrewing and learning how to like play these games and really diving in, it was for
That's all I
me.
wanted.
It was listening to as many actual plays, specifically one called "Pretending to Be People" as possible. It was just listening
It
to
really helped.
It really
to
helped.
listen to our podcast before we set out to make it.
But the other thing that I did was I think I read almost every post. I just sorted Reddit, Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green subreddits by all time, and then read pages and pages and pages of posts and comments, and just tried to learn as much as I possibly could. I listened to podcasts that talked about role playing and how to do it. The Good Friends of Jackson Elias, who I mentioned earlier.
That's a good one. Yep.
Was one that early on they were talking about like a bunch of like how to run games type stuff, and I was like, that was all very, very helpful for me.
You can even read the D&D subreddit and pick up the general role-playing tips. I find those invaluable.
Yes, so much. Even
Yeah.
the D&D stuff,
Yep.
it can still be useful.
It's true. It can be. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You have to unwire your brain coming from D&D to run Delta Green. I know there's a lot of stuff that it fought against my nature of, like, all I've ever run is D&D adjacent games. So coming to Delta Green was like, oh, no, that's not right. It has to be this way. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. Like, just stop and just go with it and play it at least. At least try it the way it's written there. And if you don't like it, then change it. Like, it's your fucking game. You can do whatever you want at home. No one's going to stop you.
Super
So,
true. I think. To
Yeah.
go back, I have an answer to your question about recorded versus not recorded games.
Okay, perfect.
I
Too
used
late, baby.
a bunch of puzzles before we started recording. Like
Oh, yeah.
I would set you guys up with puzzles a fair amount because I'm really into puzzles. In fact, like for Thomas's 30th birthday, I created a
Pretty elaborate scavenger hunt that I got too high on acid to even
to enjoy.
No, I
You
enjoyed.
enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed watching other people solve it. But I was like, I remember repeatedly like playing with my watch band, and being like, "Oh, this is weird."
I was equally high on acid watching people try to solve my puzzles and just putting my fingertips together a lot and grinning.
I was high on acid
Did you put
and I
the
played the game.
puzzle together on acid?
And Joe was there.
The puzzle, and Joe was there. Joe was doing the puzzles.
I was figuring shit out.
Joe and Taylor Murphy.
This one's Braille. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. That was a Braille one.
Fucking
yeah.
crazy. Anybody got more out?
That's awesome.
But like nobody wants to listen to people sitting at a table like staring at
Right.
paper.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Puzzles are always such a weird thing at tables too. Like, I don't know whatever to like throw them at a group where it's like, oh, you got to solve this puzzle now, and they just stare, and it's like, well, my character might know. And it's like, well, God damn it, you're right. But, like, I was hoping this would eat up more time, so I figured the fuck out. Or it's the inverse, where, like, I know how to figure this out. Can I just do it? I'm like, well, you're playing a barbarian, so I don't know.
How
give
does
me-
your
give me an
stupid
intelligence roll, we'll
person
see.
I
figure
don't
it
know.
out?
May you?
But now it's just like, yeah, fuck it. You figured it out. Cool. You solved my puzzle. Let's move on to
Another
the next
good
thing.
advice for people starting out role playing: watch a bunch of Bill Murray movies. That's typically just what failing forward is. Is like all
Yeah.
of his movies are just a guy failing
All
the
of them?
plot forward, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
and it's good to be able to learn how to, like we were talking about earlier, move,
Schindler's
move
List?
the plot along. I love Bill Murray in that movie.
Underrated role. Underrated role.
He's the Nazi.
Voldemort.
We'll end it here with two easier questions that don't deal with role-playing stuff. But what do you guys like to do in your free time?
Role play.
Play video games.
Yeah, play video games.
I'm a
the answer for
big
three of
video
us.
gamer.
What are you guys playing right now, video game-wise?
Just finished Alan Wake 2, maybe game of the year.
How is it?
Really good.
Oh,
really good.
wow.
But
Damn.
unfortunately, my game of the year has already been decided with Baldur's Gate 3.
Which is what I'm playing right now, and it is so good.
I think it's Baldur's Gate.
What did I say?
You said bald.
Bald Gate.
He was staring at me.
Bald
Yeah,
Gate 3.
I've been playing a little indie city builder called Sumerians, where you build ancient Mesopotamian cities.
and Zach doesn't play video games.
Zach doesn't do anything but have a wife.
I have a wife who I try to spend the appropriate
I've got
amount
a
of
wife.
time
I've got
with.
a job. I have friends outside of my role
So
playing
fancy.
group.
I try to see other people.
That's what's taking up all your time right there.
And I'm in a book club, and
Nice.
I try to work out, but I don't ever. And for the next foreseeable future, I'm going to be watching The Expanse.
Nice.
We did
There you
karaoke
go.
this weekend.
I did, yeah, alongside Luke.
There you go.
Luke was handed the mic with no idea of what song was about to play, and
That's
then
bold.
literally Teenage Dirtbag started playing.
And I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
It was incredible.
Wow, that song you know word for word. And then, of course, all of us love to fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Pretty
of
big
course.
hobby of mine.
Yeah, I would think so.
No legitimate children yet, though.
They're kids are a handful. They're if you don't want them, don't have them. I will say that right now. Don't let anybody be like, "Oh, you might change your mind." No, just if you don't want them, don't have them. It's a lot. For a man who has two of them, it's a
I
lot.
don't know. You described them as little Tyrannosauruses stomping around upstairs. That sounds pretty cool.
That sounds awesome.
I mean, it's cool until I go upstairs and like shit's knocked over, and I'm like, "Who did this?" Like, I don't know. It's like, well, no,
I had my
You're
shit
lying.
You're
perfectly
lying.
stacked in the tower.
like,
All I do is feed and love you, and you're lying to me.
yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for me is like being that nerd where like they want to play with my stuff, and I'm like, well, that's a that's a big toy.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not a toy.
It's not a toy.
Yeah,
I've already-
like I had a Indiana Jones Lego set, and like the first kid I had just like tore it apart. I'm like, I can't be angry with you because you're a kid and that's a toy, and I get it. But there's that nerd part of me where it's like, God damn it, I built that. Like I wanted that to be on my
But then you
shelf.
had two more kids, and those are still around.
Oh, I only got two kids total, but yeah.
Well, now,
He's
after
not-
that
the first
incident,
one's gone, so.
No, I'm not having any more kids. I took care of that.
Oh,
so.
congratulations.
Thank you. You know, it's not a woman's job to do that stuff.
You have to come like
So.
40 times into a cup to make sure that it don't work no more, right?
Just
Oh,
once.
really?
I did it once. Yeah, just one time.
Zach's like, you're ruining this for
Zach's
me.
like-
Zach's like, wait.
Andrew Tate told me I had to
Sorry,
come 40 times.
no. What I meant to say was you get to come 40 times.
Yes. No, it was the weirdest part was like being in there and then like the lady like having to get naked in front of a woman who I don't know.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Hey, thanks for shaving." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it said to shave. Like, I'm not going to show up here like
Full bush.
I don't want. It's weirder for you to shave me. That's weird." Like, she's like, "Oh yeah, no, you'd be surprised." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm not surprised by that." Like,
Man,
So
people who work in the medical
I got one more
field are
question.
wild.
Oh my God, yeah, I worked at a hospital for a little bit, and
How much bush did you
Yeah, how many balls did you shave?
tons, always, like every day, just bush everywhere. Just cups overflow.
I work from home, and honestly, same.
So last question for you all. We talk a lot about music on our podcast because two of us are really, really into music. So I wanted to know
What's wrong with the
what
other
music
ones?
are you guys listening to? They're not as they like music. They're like, yeah, it's cool, but they're not like as in depth to it like me and Jake are really the two like musical nerds. Where like we listen to a lot of different stuff from like
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
like right now my albums of the year are like death metal to like country music. So there's a wide range there. But yeah, what are you guys listening to recently that you've liked?
I've been obsessed with. I was just looking up to make sure I got the album title right. It's called "Please Have a Seat" by Namdi. It came out late last year, and it's been on my constant rotation like all year long. It's one of my favorite albums in a long
Nice.
time. Namdi, Namdi.
I'll have to check that out. What kind of music is it?
It's kind of art pop, hip hop kind of sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, nice, cool.
Hell yeah. When me and Thomas and Luke went and saw Wet Leg Rips, that's a cool rock band from the UK. They have one album out. Yeah, I
think
like
they-
them a
yeah,
lot.
one album.
But the opener of that show
Oh shit.
is called Faux Real. Faux like FAUX, real like REAL.
Mm-hmm.
And they're brothers,
I think.
we think.
Okay.
And-
They say.
they say, and they do like kind of like post pop, like new wave kind of pop vibes.
They were really weird, and I liked them a lot.
Yeah, the energy on stage. If you had to describe it, Thomas.
Well, it's your band. Why would I describe it?
Oh, you were there.
I know. No, you want us to say what your friend Beep said, which is that they had the same energy of two brothers like dancing to music videos on like MTV and practicing the choreography in their living room.
Is exactly the
Okay.
vibe, but horny, and it was.
Yeah, two brothers who want to fuck each other. Which is the only reason we're like, they say they're brothers.
That's what I wanted you to say, Thomas. I love their music so much, and I'm really.
So it's like a male Tegan and Sarah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
But poppier,
yeah.
dancier.
Okay,
It's
wow.
super fun. They were
Okay.
just playing at Format Festival down in Bentonville, Arkansas, and so I caught them at a set down there. And they were playing in this tiny venue with a dome roof, and the dome had like 4 different projectors working together to make one single image go across
Like a team.
the whole dome, like the
Like a
the
sphere?
circle. I mean,
The Las Vegas Sphere.
and it was hella rad.
It's the Arkansas Sphere. Thank you very much.
I went to a different day of Format Festival, and the band I saw in that sphere was called Hot Club of Cowtown.
Nice.
And I'll just go ahead and throw out an evergreen endorsement for Bill Callahan, if you want to listen to some good
Okay.
music.
I kind of hop all over the place recently, and it's not an album I discovered recently. I just like always come back to it. Is No Dogs Allowed by Sydney Gish. I love that album so much. So check that out. And then
I made up.
Sydney Gish, No Dogs Allowed. But my top played song from last year was Boom 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 by Venga Boys.
And if you like music.
Also, Hamster Dance was like my number 6 listen to song. Not even joking.
I know.
I love that shit.
No, yeah. There was one year when I first got Spotify, I didn't think about it with my kids, and my top 5 songs were Puppy Dog Pal songs. I was like, all right, well, like I gotta cut this out, because all I'm getting is like
Right.
suggestions for that. I'm like,
Algorithmically
like, I need more.
disastrous.
Before the
Yeah,
algorithm.
I need more stoner metal. Like I need that. I don't need
Yeah.
this.
Unfortunately, there are no children on my Spotify account. That was all me.
Do you like
Hey,
Wand?
no, it's all good. I've never heard of them.
Sing us
that
some.
might not be the band. I think it's one of Ty Segal's bands, and it's like doom stoner stuff. It's pretty rad.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I listen to, like I said, I listen to like every, like there's this band called Delta 4 that's like it's 2 members of Death Cab for Cutie.
Cool.
And they do like, it's like ambient space prog music.
Rad.
Like,
Hell yeah.
I think I've seen Death Cab for Cutie more times than any other musical artist.
I've never listened to them in my
I've
life.
seen him twice.
I'm pretty sure they're from Seattle, and I've never listened to them.
I was once at a show of theirs in Nashville, and the Mariners were playing, and so I hollered out the score after like the 5th song, and Ben Gibbard was like, "Thank you. If you could keep that coming anytime there's a change, that would be great."
I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to you guys, like first starting, was that you're avid baseball fans, and you don't get that a lot anymore.
No, it's
It's a lost art.
like, it's a dying breed of people who are into
on its
baseball.
way out. Not like a hobby I look forward to it really being able to enjoy when I'm old.
So I know, yeah, it's but yeah, I remember this like, oh cool, like there's people who still like baseball and are young. Like I didn't think that would happen.
It's not. It doesn't.
Like I think I can count. Like I have 5 friends total who like baseball.
I have
And
3.
like,
Yeah.
I have 5 friends.
hey, that's you're getting there. Eventually, you'll get to the age where, like me, where you're like, I don't think I need friends anymore. I think I'm good. Like, I'm gonna start pruning this tree where I'm like, yeah, we're good. Like, I'm happy where I'm at.
I've got books and baseball. That's all I need.
I've had my fill of friendship.
It's a weird concept, but like, you do hit that point where I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm approaching 40. Do I need new friends? Like, it's like online dating. Like, if my wife ever left me, I don't know what I would do.
Don't
like, I don't
online
understand dating. Well, I will, yeah, but like,
Then your wife will
I
leave
have
you.
no idea what would happen. That's very true. I don't want that. So, but I thought about this. Like, if she ever like passed away or like broke up with me or divorced me or what, like, I think I'm screwed. Like, I don't understand anything.
You should
nowadays.
really
Like,
just invest in making that relationship stronger then.
that's my plan. I'm really doing
You
that.
could also
part.
start a podcast like called "Looking for Love" and try to get that popular, and then somebody will
Oh, there you go.
will love you.
That could be my backup plan. No, I don't want to do that because then that would just lead to disaster.
Yeah,
So,
but disaster's wild.
Like like an astronomical rise and fall.
You don't want to live a
I
biopic?
don't. No, I don't. I'm happy with. Where I'm perfectly comfortable just being boring and living
Chris,
my
it's
life.
really good to hear
I'd
that
rather
you're
have
happy.
that. Well, you know, you got to be.
Well, we
So-
don't.
One day you'll get there, and I'll be happy for you then too.
Sick.
When we're the most popular podcast on Earth, then
As
and
it is
only
in
then
heaven.
we'll be happy.
Hey, you know what? It could happen one day. Who knows? I mean, you're just a couple scandals away from taking the top crown of like actual.
You're right.
Dropping like flies.
You're right. We need a
The bigger
scandal
they
so we
get, the
get
more shit's gonna
publicity.
come out.
Thomas, what are you going to do?
So
No, don't say anything.
Don't answer that.
It involves a baseball game.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's always sunny in
I'm
Philadelphia.
gonna molest you.
All right.
Oh, no.
All right. I say yes, so now it's no longer that. Nice.
Okay.
that's
Isn't
that's
there
love.
anybody in this room I can molest?
I also love System of a Down
Nice.
What reminded you of that?
because I was gonna say it and then I never did, and then it popped in my brain, so I said
Nice.
it.
Do you have any tattoos?
Not yet, but I'm gonna get one. Up in general or of
been-
System of a Down?
Yeah, both.
In general, yes. Of System of a Down, not yet.
You've been telling me about the System
Yeah.
of a Down tattoo.
I just
You're gonna
gotta get it.
for the past 7
I think
years.
since I met
Well,
you.
yeah, you know what? The people are saying tattoos are a luxury service, and the people are getting them less. So once the recession or whatever we're in is over, I'll get.
You just gotta become friends with a tattoo artist. That's how it works.
Do you want to give me a tattoo?
I used to pay mine in Adderall that I bought from my
my
roommate.
Yeah, so yeah, I got most of my tattoos I used to work at a
Those lines were neat.
auto parts store, and I would give him auto parts in exchange for tattoos. So I got 90% of my tattoos that way.
Incredible.
Were you allowed
But
to
you had to
give away
steal
the
auto
auto parts?
No, so I would buy them at a discount, and then the company I worked for, they would take out like $20 out of your paycheck a time to pay it back.
Oh.
So I'd be like, yeah, man, I'll buy you a radiator for $300 and then pay it off over a couple.
Right
Yeah.
on. Oh, hell yeah. What's your favorite tattoo that you have?
I have, I have a. No one gets it, but it's probably my favorite. I doubt anybody here read Green Lantern comics.
I saw the movie.
Yeah. So in the Green Lantern comics, there is a orange lanterns, which are avarice, which is greed and whatnot. So I have a seagull from Finding Nemo in the orange green or orange lantern thing saying "mine" off to the side. That's probably my favorite.
That's really good.
And then my other one is my favorite movie of all time is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And so I have a From Dusk Till Dawn
Cool.
tattoo.
You have the
Yeah.
the Clooney that's going up from under the collar and all the way up the neck.
No, I wanted that really bad when I was
Yeah.
younger. That was like I remember like I'm gonna get that tattoo, and then once you
once
I
you-
have one
once you're into
tribal.
real world.
I do have one tribal. When I was 17 and got straight A's, and my parents
We're
found
getting you a
sketchy place
tribal
that
tat.
tattoo.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
There's one thing
Only
this
time I've ever
family
gotten straight
believes
A's.
in, and that's straight A's. You've earned this.
I know I got my sick tribal,
You got your
bro.
stripes. Your favorite
I did,
movie
yeah.
is the only way that I remember which one's which.
Oh, there you go.
Between
It is.
dusk
I don't
and
know.
dawn.
Oh,
You don't know what fucking dawn is, Zach?
Oh my god.
You don't know about dawn?
I was looking for such a deeper joke. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I saw that movie way too young. Like I want to say I saw that in like third or fourth
like the
grade.
dawn
But
of your
at the same time,
life.
it's about the bad days. Yeah.
Oh, do you have a thing about
And
snakes?
I don't mind snakes. The old I rewatched it like a month or two ago, and it's there's a lot of questionable stuff in that film. We'll just
Is that
put it
where
way.
does
the whole
Quentin
subplot
Tarantino
with
suck a foot or something in that one?
yeah. Then once you realize he has a foot fetish, it's like, oh, you just put her in this film to
Yeah.
suck on her feet, like.
Yeah.
Okay, and then like the whole subplot with his character being like basically a rapist, you're like, yeah, okay, this is
Forgot about that one.
it's a little bit
I
tougher. to
was
stomach
watching.
now,
We were
but
me and a friend were hanging out, flipping through channels, and we flipped onto From Dusk Till Dawn, and it was very early in the movie. And I said, "Have you ever seen this?" And he goes, "No. What is it?" And I said, "Oh, it's this like cool like Quentin Tarantino kind of crime thing." And we watched it right up until the moment where faces change, and I loved the look on his face. He had no idea what was
you
coming.
totally pranked him so good.
It was a perfect reaction to what
Very good
what
prank.
everybody wants from that movie.
so I like Robert Rodriguez is one of my favorite directors for quite a while. Like I don't know if you know this, but if you ever seen the movie The Faculty, I think it was the movie he did after that. So the condoms that Josh Hartnett's character has are rocket condoms, which are the condoms they used in From Dusk Till Dawn. And then in the bathroom stall, when Elijah Wood's character is like hiding, there's a Tito and the Tarantulas on the wall, which is the band that plays in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Fuck
So
yeah.
there's those weird being a fucking nerd and you just pick up on shit like that.
That's really good.
So
It's fun.
yeah, so I think we'll call it there. I want to say thank you guys for sitting down and talking with me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of y'all, and I'm so happy you guys are being successful and kicking ass and doing all this. And I look forward to everything else you guys got coming
Thanks
out.
for the
Yeah,
kind
thanks,
words,
man.
Thanks so
This
much
was a
for
lot of-
having us on.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks
for,
for being rad.
Yeah.
Thanks for being our moderator on the Discord.
Yeah.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do a whole lot.
Well,
but-
we appreciate it.
You've also just been a very vocal and also not vocal. No, well, that sounds weird, but I mean, like you've DM'd me and we've talked like friend of the show since the early days. So
Yeah.
it's cool to like
yeah.
finally chat with you.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think one of the first giveaways you guys did was like D&D 5e box
Yes,
sets.
and you sent those
And
to
I-
my
Oh,
yeah.
house, dude.
that's right.
I did.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was
Our
an old
giveaway
podcast I was running. I bought them for that podcast, and it was like, well, we're breaking up. I'm just going to give these somebody who
And
can
you
use
sent a
them,
bunch
so.
of dice our way too. That
Badass
time
dice,
that
yeah.
were like not made by you that we also used in that
Yeah.
giveaway. And then later You made literally, dude, right here, the dice that I use every single session.
There they are.
They're beautiful. I love them
beautiful.
so much.
We all got a
Thank
set.
you.
And we all
Yeah.
love.
Beautiful.
Not that your listeners don't know, but at Bandit Dice, that's you, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm bad at like social media shit. Like I'm.
Hey, we get that.
I don't. Like, I'm just not good at it. Like I probably should like promote it more, but I don't. So I'm like, whatever. Like people show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. Like I done.
That's
whatever.
relatable
So.
content for Zach.
Have you
Yeah. So
have you ever made any dice with
it's-
beans in them?
no, but I was looking into it for you. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at. So I made a set with actual moss in it.
Oh,
cool.
nice.
And so I was trying to figure out how to make the dice where I like, because my issue with putting the beans in there is I'm afraid that if I like it doesn't seal all the way. Like if the beans are at the edges, then it's just going to be beans
Right.
sticking out.
Sure.
And so like I have to cut the bean and all this. So,
sentence.
but definitely I have thought about it. I've been trying to figure out because a lot of people also have mentioned making gummy dice.
Oh yeah.
And so I've been looking at potentially doing it, but then I got to figure out all like the food license stuff and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to serve to people potentially like tainted shit. So that's a big thing on my mind. But dice and silicone's not that hard, or resin. But I have
ate
thought about
three
it.
of the
I
ones that
will.
you sent me, and I'm fine.
Just shot right through him.
It's just blink, blink, a little tough, but you go.
Rolled an ot 4.
Yeah, you're like, look, I crit succeeded.
Well, I'll let you guys go back to whatever you guys got going on. So thank you so much again, and tell the people where they can find you guys. She'll promote anything you guys want to do right now. Tell them all that.
Anywhere
jazz.
that you listen to
Other than-
podcasts, you can find us at Pretending to Be People on Instagram. You can find us at Pretending Pod. Twitter, you can find us at Pretending Pod. Facebook, Pretending to Be
X.
People. X, gonna give it to you. We have a subreddit that was made a long time ago by Crush36. Shout out Crush, another one of the mods in the Discord.
And the Discord.
And the Discord slaps. Honestly, even if you don't listen to
It
our
does.
show, it would be a fun Discord to just hang out in. It's cool.
There's a lot of interesting, unique people in there who are awesome.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's fucking rad.
And if you want to give us money,
Patreon.com/pretendingpod. Yeah, do it before you even listen to the show, and then you'll have even more reason to check us out.
Then you'll
yeah, you'll feel obligated.
give yourself an obligate like a hook. That's how you build effective habits to change your life.
The truth.
All right. Well, thank you guys again so much. Hopefully, if you guys are down to do this again, we can do another interview or something else.
Hell
So,
yeah.
Sick. Thanks again
That's
for having
sex
us
Roll some
on.
game.
dice.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you,
See you,
Chris.
dude.
Bye, Chris.